Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lightworkers, Secret to Success. I'm Rebecca, and I'm joined today by Adam and Amanda and Pamela. And tonight we're going to hear a fascinating story from Amanda and Adam. Lightworkers, Secret to Success. I just repeated myself. But we're going to hear from Adam and Amanda this evening because they both went on a retreat this past week. Amanda just got back to her home in Washington State yesterday, I think. And Adam is living in Costa Rica, and that's where they went on a 5-day retreat. And we are dying to hear what happened because they took that fascinating medicine called ayahuasca and had quite the experience, I hear. So can we start with, tell us why you two wanted to do this. What was your motivation? Because a lot of people are curious about it, especially I know in the United States, but they don't know that much about it. So
yeah. I started reading about it, I think like in 2018, 2019, it kind of caught my attention, and I wanted to know a lot more about it. And there's just been something that has always fascinated me with these plant medicines in the rainforest and how they exist, and the healing that they have. And so I've just always had a fascination with it, and never in my younger years ever experiencing any kind of drugs, even marijuana. I was always kind of curious on the difference between, the psychedelic sort of natural stuff that exists, and that, because it's natural and, Mother Earth gives it to you, and it's there for you for a reason. I don't know. I was just always curious about it. And, part of the reason why I thought Costa Rica would be a good place to move is for that experience at some point. I didn't know it would be this quick, but I just knew that, when the timing was right, that I would, experience it and go through the ceremony of it. And then I think, Amanda started talking a little bit about it, and, it really kind of piqued my interest. And I was talking with someone else too about it, and that really piqued my interest a lot more, and felt like I needed to find a retreat center sooner than later.
Okay. Now, had you taken it before, Amanda, or was this the first time you experienced it?
No, this is the first time as well. I haven't done any kind of psychedelic drugs or anything like that. So it was pretty an amazing experience. I didn't know really what I was in for. And the other thing is, I've been guided for the last 2 years to go to Costa Rica and to be with shamans. And the whole time I kept getting the message that I needed to go there to get activated. And of course I had no idea what that meant. And I don't know if I still know what that means, but the medicine keeps moving. It keeps working on you. So when you take it, it kind of just, we're going to get so many downloads.
Now, does it last forever, or does it wear off eventually, or how long do they say that the effects last after you take it?
I think it all depends.
Okay.
The effects itself could be lifetime. I mean, you don't have like the physical effects, but like maybe the space that we create, it could be like a lifetime.
Because I've heard stories that people actually overcome post-traumatic stress, heroin addiction, because it changes the do you think it changes the chemistry of your brains, or just shifts your consciousness? What did you experience as far as that goes?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I don't know if it physically does that, but definitely shifts your consciousness in a different way. It just opens you up. It allows different messages to come through, different downloads. It gives you a different perspective on things, on maybe how you looked at it before, I think is the best.
Now, can you both give us a little perspective on kind of the most eye-opening experiences you had while you were taking it, so people can kind of know what it would be like, good or bad?
Each time is different. So no, it's going to be different for everybody and different each time you take the medicine. So the first night, like we said, we had no idea what we were going to do. I mean, it was just all brand new to us. So we went in and, what was it called, Adam? Was it peyote that they put in? Okay, yeah. So they started it with the peyote, and it's like a psychedelic, I don't know, tobacco or marijuana, and they blow it in your nose, and so they call it like snuff. And so that was a little challenging at first because I don't even like water going up my nose. So anyways, it was really tough. So and we started with that, and that is to help open us up and to help ground us and keep us grounded through the ayahuasca ceremony. So we started with that, and then what they did is we each had like our own bed that we were on, and they make it really cozy with blankets and pillows and stuff. And so we took the ayahuasca, and the flavor was pretty, I mean, it's tolerable, but I wouldn't want to just, drink it all the time. It had a very distinct flavor to it. And so you sit there, and they play beautiful music. I mean, it is an actual ceremony, and you're asking your body to heal and show you messages and things that, you're ready to receive. I went in. Now there's other people will say, oh, you have to have an intention. You have to do this. I'm glad that our host said, no, it's actually better not to have an intention, because then the medicine will just show you whatever needs to come up. And that was, so I went in with the intention of literally just being grateful and thankful. That was my intention. I just said, I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to do this. And I just want, to be shown whatever was supposed to be shown to me at that moment in time. And I think my experience was completely different than Adam's experience. I had a carnival in my head, and I had all these wonderful psychedelic colors, and I had and I'm telling you guys, this is things I remember, because you kind of go into like a dream state, and I don't always remember my dream states, but it was like this round, I don't want to call it a medallion, because it wasn't a medallion, but it was like, it just was, it went into, not into itself, like it was almost like moving pieces. So like one outer ring would move this way, and then the inner ring would move the opposite. So they were kind of like moving and shifting. And so my eyes, and the beautiful colors, it was like a Hispanic carnival. And it was pretty amazing. And I just kept watching. And I think the feelings that I got was that it was my ancestors were celebrating, and they were so excited that I was there, and that I was doing the work for the lineages, and really the medicine was healing myself during that moment. And there were a couple of things that were kind of off, and I was like, hey, what is this all about? And I just kind of was like, no, I don't want to see that. So bring back the carnival. But literally I had a carnival in my head for 4-5 hours. I mean, because the ceremony lasts pretty long. I mean, it starts at 6 and it goes until like 11.
Now, did you see entities, or was it just colors and feelings?
I could have seen a couple entities that came. It was, there were a couple people, I guess. They were dressed like in purple, black, and white. And so, but they were kind of off to the distance. So they were like on a stage, and the woman, they had like white on their face, and then like some purples and black. I mean, they had face paint on there, but it almost looked like they had blood like dripping from their mouth. And the gal was on a stripper pole. Like, she wasn't doing seductive things, but she was just kind of twirling around, and I'm like, what is going on here? So I'm just watching. And then the guy, he looks directly at me and makes like eye contact with me. And I was like, get out of here. I was like, I don't know what you guys are doing. I don't know if you're trying to scare me or what you're trying to do, but I'm not interested. So it just kind of went away. I was like, goodbye, you're gone. So then other stuff came up. I did have a feeling of like almost like a serpent energy behind the scene watching everything.
Really?
Yeah, but it wasn't like malicious. It was more like, I think it was healing my fear of snakes is what I thought. So it was kind of like, okay, we don't want to scare her, but we just want to support her and say, hey, we're not so bad. Like, we're here to support you. I mean, that's how I felt. So I was like, okay, I had a really great experience the very first night. And yeah, and the lasting effects lasted a little bit longer than the ceremony. So when we were laying there, if you had like any lights, you could see tracers. So I mean, and they kind of go all the way out. So you're a little not very steady on your feet. Someone had to help me to the restroom because I, like going from the depths of like taking the steps and walking, it can be a little challenging, under that. Yeah. But he said, oh, you guys can get up and walk. And I was thinking like, afterwards, I was like, how could you just get up and walk around? There's no way. I could not. It was.
Did you feel like you were out of body, or did you stayed in your body?
I felt like I think the peyote helped keep you grounded in your body. I think if we didn't have that, you would probably feel more out of body.
Yeah. So Adam, tell me a little bit more about what happened to you on that first bit of it.
Yeah, so kind of to echo what Amanda said is, my experience might not be your experience. And depending on a whole bunch of things, from your diet to the stuff that's going on in your life to, if you have PTSD, if you are addicted to drugs or alcohol, if you're an excessive coffee drinker, there's so many things that can change your experience. And so there are very specific guidelines that they ask you to follow before you get there. So fortunately for me, I mean, all of those guidelines, except for maybe one of them, which was chocolate, I pretty much follow on a day-to-day basis anyways. So it's not like it was a huge shift for me. But so some other people, I can see how that might be challenging.
Well, did you have to give up certain foods in order to go to the retreat?
Yeah, they say to limit your dairy. They say to limit your meat intake, to have, raw vegetables and, more of a vegan type of lifestyle, a week prior to it. Increase your water, which I mean, I'm already drinking 3 to 4 liters of water a day anyways. So it's not like I had to make any shifts, but, for someone that's not doing that to have those shifts might be quite a bit. And then you might have some kind of reaction with the ayahuasca because it is going to heal you and it's going to bring up a whole bunch of different feelings. And so for me, obviously having that stuff, up my nose, it was not a pleasant feeling at all. And, I had tears in my eyes, and I didn't know that you were supposed to blow your nose before the ceremony started. And so I didn't blow my nose, and I could feel it in the back of my throat, just kind of irritating me a little bit. And it wasn't the best feeling. But getting into the actual ceremony, like the first thing that I heard all around me was like 100,000 bees just buzzing around me. And it was so loud, and it felt like they were like underneath me, and like I was kind of floating up. Like I didn't feel like the air mattress that I was lying on, I didn't feel like I was even touching it anymore. It felt like my body was disconnected from it. And then as the medicine started kicking in a lot more, it's like the bees just like instantly went away, and all I could hear was the music and the drums, and they play different instruments sometimes too. And I could really, my senses heightened, my peripheral vision, even though my eyes were closed, I could like see outside of my, of things walking around and things happening, but my eyes were closed. So I can't even really explain how that was, but it just was. And then I just remember that, I had my hands kind of like this across my body. And then all of a sudden, like it felt like they were melting into my body. So they felt like they were disappearing. And then my felt like they were disappearing. And then my torso felt like it disappeared. And then my head felt like it was disappearing. And then all I had was like just lips. And if I wanted to talk, it was just my lips were there. And it just,
Well, was that unnerving or was it an okay feeling?
it was such an awesome feeling. Like it just was so deep and spiritual, and it felt very natural to me. It just like I wasn't like freaked out by any means. So like I was just really in that deep meditative state. And then like Amanda, like I had a lot of visions where things, I would see something. I mean, I love asking questions and getting answers. And so like when I would get an answer, it wouldn't be like words, it would be like pictures. And then after the picture was done, it would kind of like be spinning to the music, and then it would like kind of dissipate. And then I'd ask another question, and it was kind of like this really psychedelic type of, song and dance that was kind of going on. And that's the best way to really describe it. And then it was just, I asked so many deep, powerful questions, and I was getting like all these answers, and then those would bring up more questions, and I would ask more. I just kept bringing up more. I get more and more answers, and then there was at one point when, like I was asking about creation and how that happens, and the light and dark, and how that whole thing works, and that yin and yang, and that whole thing, and then I was like, well, whatever has a beginning has an end. So what happens at the end? And it's just like in my head, like everything just went blank, and it's just like a blank, like computer screen with like the little cursor on the top. Right. And it was just kind of blinking. And then it was just like all I got was, I'm ready to start creating. So it's like, what's your command type of thing. So that's what kind of went through my head. And then like another part that was the creation part is, I saw the end stop, and everything came to a stop. And then there was like this white light just like right across the middle of my screen. And I'm like, what is this? And I said, is this the beginning of time? And it said, yes. And I'm like, wow, this is so cool. And I felt like I wanted to go and touch it, but it was so far away that it was just impossible. So instead of trying to chase it, I'm just like, oh, this is what it is. I kept hearing the word is, everything is, stop trying to control, everything just is. And so I'm like, okay, so let go. Yes, let go, just let go. So I would be letting go all the time. And then I would see like the beginning of creation. So I felt like, time was standing still. And then I'm like, well, what happens after everything ends? Everything begins, a new beginning, right? So that's kind of what I was getting the whole time. And then I'm like, well, who creates the beginning? And I kept getting the answer, well, who does. And I'm like, oh, that's me. So I'm the creator. I get to create whatever that I want. And like I kept, and you have to remember that while this is playing in my head, this music is going on in the background that is like very psychedelic and very like just so cool, man. Like I just have like this 60s kind of Woodstock kind of feeling, like, and obviously I wasn't born at that time, but when you look back at the videos and you hear people talking, that's kind of the tone that was there. And you can just imagine that, like, you feel like you're at the beginning of time, and you feel like these things are happening, and you're just like, this is so cool. And like, and you're like, every cell like is vibrating in your entire body. And again, this is my experience. This might not be anyone else's experience, but this is just what I was going through on the first night. And like, I'm sure that if someone came by and had a video camera and videotape me, my smile would have been like up to my ears. Like I felt so happy and just so free and so like not a worry in the world. Like, you know, my hands, my arms, my torso, like everything was gone. Just my mouth was there, and it's just like a big smile, right? Is just how I felt, and it that was kind of my experience. And like, I mean, like Amanda knows, like the next day, and even like that night when we were, you know, off going to bed, like, I mean, we couldn't sleep. Like our minds were just racing like crazy. And I'm just
I think your mind was racing like crazy.
Oh, I know.
Like my mind was just listening to your mind racing like crazy.
I'm like, Amanda, and I got clarity on how to create a web page, and I got this, and I got this, and I got this, and I got this, and I'm like just rhyming things off, and she's like, oh, that's good, that's nice. And, like, I'm just rhyming these things.
So you feel like it made you more creative, more godlike in your abilities.
Oh, totally. Like it was just such a really positive experience on that first night.
Because I asked a man once who went to the Amazon to do it, and he said it made me feel like God, you know, and like it was such a powerful feeling to really realize that. And this woman I met recently, she said she learned that she said, I am the one. And it sounds like Adam had that experience where he became. Now, did you have that kind of godlike thing happen to you, Amanda?
No. I don't think so. No, I had mine was more of just a healing. It was really truly like a healing, and which is powerful just in itself.
Right.
And I think it was healing me from a lot of my lives, and I think it was healing my ancestral lineages. And then the second night do you want to do the second night, or you want to talk more about like the retreats?
No, tell us about the second night. What happened there? What happened on the second night?
Well, so that was the first night was Monday. Then Tuesday, after a long night, I don't even know. I mean, literally, we didn't get much sleep, you know, and I think Adam got more sleep than I did.
Any sleep. I barely slept. Like my mind was racing, and I just I had so many insightful stuff that I couldn't turn it off. And I mean, if you at breakfast the next morning, I mean, you know, they were asking us our experiences, and I probably talked to, and I'm not a big talker where I talk that long, but it was probably like half hour, 45 minutes, like explanation of just like this really deep, you know, connection that I had. And then Tuesday night, I mean, I just couldn't shut it off. It was just like, I'm lying in bed, my eyes are closed, and this is not me, by the way. I don't have this kind of experience typically. But my mind was just racing, and my eyes were closed, and I'm like, it's time to go to sleep. And it's just like, no, you're wired. You need to get this out, and you need to sort this out now. And so I would stay awake, and like it was like dead silence in the room, and like you think dead silence that you would fall asleep, and yeah. We just did not fall asleep. Like it was weird. I was just so awake, and it's so not like me to be like that. And it was like if you drink alcohol and you get hungover, I mean, that's one thing. I mean, you know that you purposely did that to yourself, and you feel really crappy, and sometimes it lasts, you know, for a day or two. When you do ayahuasca, it's like a hangover, but it's like a good, healthy hangover. It's almost like when you go and get a massage, like a deep tissue massage, and, you know, like they're digging their elbows and their forearms into your back, and they're moving your muscles, and you leave and you go to touch your back or whatever, and it feels like it's bruised, but you know it's not a bad feeling, you know that it's a good feeling. Well, that's kind of like how ayahuasca was. You know that this wasn't like a bad drinking bender night that you had. It was like a good positive healing night that you had. So you know, on Tuesday, I think it was a lot of recovery and a lot of processing that happened from the first night. and just feeling all the emotions that we experienced and going through it. Like it was just it was so deep and so impactful that it really, I think I'm still processing a lot of it, a lot of the stuff that is happening and a lot of stuff that I experienced. And that's the only way I can really describe it. Like there's just, I feel almost a little short for words on descriptions because I feel that there's a lot more that was there that I can't even articulate.
Put into words.
Yeah, like I can't pinpoint what it is. And if you're curious on venturing into it, go with just an open heart and an open mind, and don't allow my experience to influence you in any way. Go with your own experience. And a teacher that got me on the spiritual journey is one of the things that resonated deeply with me that he said, it's not the ritual, it's what you bring to the ritual. And so what I brought to the ritual is just a really open mind, an open heart. And I had zero intentions for anything. And I was just going to allow whatever was there to be allowed and to experience everything. That was really my one thing when I went into it, is that's what I was ready to do.
Me too.
Now, do they always do 5 days? Is that the typical amount of time someone would want to spend doing this, or do they do shorter or longer?
They do shorter. Sometimes it's just an overnight one.
Oh,
and ours was a 5-day, but you do 3 ayahuasca ceremonies.
great.
Yeah. And Adam and I chose just to do 2 because we were spent after the second one. I mean, that was a little bit more brutal. I feel like physically it was a lot on the body.
And where does he get the plant? The plant grows down there?
Mm-hmm.
And what does he do? Boil it?
I guess, yeah. Boil it, cook it.
You drink it.
He boils it and he cooks it, and he goes through like a condensation kind of process that he goes through. He said it takes him like 8 hours to prepare for the ceremony. So it's a big process that he actually goes through.
Yeah. And we had another gal with us, and she was amazing too. And I feel like we all just bonded so much there because we just had each other to like talk to and experience things with. And I feel like she's like a sister to me now. I just feel that closeness with her, because going through the ceremony it's a pretty like intimate experience. And it's just a few of us there. She had went to another one. She said there was like 80 people there. And she said it was just like a completely different experience. Is that what she said? 80 people? It's a lot of people. Yeah. And I was thinking, I could have never have gone through something like that with that many people. And when Adam and I were looking for retreat centers, I told him, I said, I don't want one that's really big, because that was my fear, that we'd get kind of lost in the shuffle. And I don't know how they could have so many people and give so much attention. Like our host was like so attentive to us and checking on us. And, at least every hour they'd come to our side and say, are you okay? Is everything going all right? I mean, you're still cognitive enough to like answer and speak.
Now, do they stay up 24 hours of the day too? Are they like awake all the time?
During the ceremony, they stay there with you the entire time.
Yeah. And do they talk you through things? Do they interact?
Yeah, if you need it. I mean, we were pretty quiet, I feel like, as a group. And so they're like, you guys are like the easiest group ever. But he said there are times, like we went to breakfast the next morning, and he's like, there's times that people, have had, kind of bad experiences. Like they'll see demons. And I'm thinking like, oh, well, we're not going to see that because we've already released all our demons. So, so he's like, really? I'm like, oh yeah, Adam and I release demons all the time. So nothing is attached to us. I mean, they could be some, around us, but not like they're gonna, be in our face, And I was like, that would be pretty scary if you're not an energy healer and you're just going in and not knowing anything, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna do this ayahuasca, and you've never done any kind of shadow work or healing or anything. I bet that would be pretty scary for some people.
Well, yeah, nobody wants to see demons.
Yeah, and I did have something come up, but I just said, get out of here. I mean, I was just like, no.
Yeah. Well, I've always heard there's a big snake that's like the queen of the ayahuasca plant or something that many people see. Snake.
I definitely didn't see the snake. Like Amanda, when things negatively started popping up, I mean, like I got like that God complex. Like I'm the creator. Like I'm Neo. Like I can. Like I'm the one. I'm like, am I the one? This is like, well, you know the answer to that, and I'm like, well, yes, of course I am. But as soon as it's, of course I am, right? Like duh. But when anytime anything kind of negative was coming up, it's just like, wait a minute, why am I creating this? What's this saying? Well, if I'm creating this, I can also uncreate it. So then I would do like, okay, I'm going to uncreate this and destroy it forever. And it's like, boom, it's gone. It's just like, okay, well, now I have a blank screen. Now what do I want to do? Oh, I want to do this. I want to go into the 3D matrix and I want to create this in the 3D matrix. Can I do that? Yes, you can. And it's just like I'm like literally asking, like, I swear, like there must have been 100,000 questions I was just asking and like getting answers. Is like, well, you know the answer to that. And I'm like, I do know the answer to that. And then, right, like I'm asking to answer my own questions and, you know, I would get a lot of things, well, you know how to do that. And I'm like, well, of course I know how to do that. So why did I ask that question? And like, you know, I'm just having like this conversation.
But at the same time, you would get the answer. You would get a reasonable answer. Yeah, because it was coming from you.
Exactly. Yeah. Like everything starts with me and everything ends with me, right? Like it's just like, you know, everything that has a beginning has an end. And it's just like, I know it.
Now, what can you take from this whole experience that you feel like you can use now that you're back in your everyday lives?
Well, so on the second night of doing ayahuasca was I went in with specific intentions. And my specific intentions is how do I physically manifest? I need some more clarification and I need some more instructions, guidance, teachings. I said, whatever it is that I need to know, I need to have someone show me, someone guide me to it. That was one thing. And then how do I physically project myself from point A to B? So how do I go from Costa Rica to Seattle? Like, how can I just put my fingers and do that as an example? And then I also asked about my global strong banking. Is, you know, what do I need to have happen to make this happen? Because it is something that I have clarification on now that I'm going to be a creator of a new currency for the world and that I'm going to be kind of in charge of it. And so I went in with those specific three intentions. When I connected with Ashtar, I got the same answer for all three of the things. It just said access denied, meaning that I can't access my higher self or an ET race in order to get the answers. I had to find it a different way. And so then I'm like, that was right at the very beginning. And so then I'm like, well, now what do I do? And on top of that, the medicine wasn't really kicking in as strong as it was the night before at the very beginning. So, I mean, like you have 5 hours and the medicine isn't kicking in and I'm getting uncomfortable because it's not the same feeling anymore. And it felt like my conscious mind was trying to fight it off and saying, no, I'm not going through that experience again tonight. And I'm saying, just let it go. Like you can't stop this. The more you try to stop, like, and I'm having this conversation with myself. So believe me, I'm listening to myself, like in my head, I'm like, you sound crazy. Like if you were saying this out loud, like you'd probably be locked up in a mental institution, right? Like I'm just having that conversation in my head. And so after that, then I said, okay, here's the things that I learned from the other night, that I'm the creator, I'm this, you know, what can I learn to let go, or what can I explore deeper into of that maybe I need some more clarification on with some of the stuff. And so then I started that to go, and then I could hear light buzzing around my head. And then when he woke me up, when he said the ceremony's over, I was like in full blown, like medicine kicking in mode.
Mhm.
And I felt the worst thing that I did for myself is I should have just stayed there. But I tried to get up and I was so dizzy and I was so out of balance, and I'm trying to fight it. And the light that was around was affecting me like in such a way. And I felt like I had to throw up, but I couldn't throw up. I started sweating profusely. Like I really feel like my temperature jumped to like 106, like in a matter of seconds.
You
Like
kept saying that. You're like, my temperatures, I got a temperature.
yeah, like I was sitting there and I was like literally dripping sweat. I was completely, my shirt was off, and it was a cool night. Like it wasn't warm by any means. And yet I was sitting there like just dripping sweat. And I got to the point, like I was seconds away from calling Andy to say, you needed to get an ambulance. There's something seriously wrong with me. And something just said, no, hang on, you're almost through this. And so I just waited a few more seconds, and then maybe it could have been minutes, but it honestly felt like seconds to me. And then it just started to go away, and my temperature started to come down, and I started to feel a little bit better. But again, still my mind was racing. The medicine was in full blown activation mode at that point, and I was having such a hard time with it. And yeah, so.
Wow.
Yes.
The cool thing is so the second ceremony, I opted to do the peyote, but Adam and Laura didn't want to do it. And I was like, we didn't even know it was an option to do it or not to do it. But I was like, I better do it just because I already knew I had experience from the night before. And I thought, no, I just need to be grounded tonight. I don't want to be, off out of my body or anything. So I did it. And when I closed my eyes, I saw a gold chalice in front of me. And a few weeks before this whole thing, I kept getting the message, remember who you are, remember who you are, remember who you are. And I'm like, okay, like I was getting these messages everywhere. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to remember. Right. And so that was my intention for that night was, okay, who am I? And I need to remember who I am and what I'm here for and all this stuff. And so when I closed my eyes, there was complete darkness. And then I saw this gold chalice like right in front of me. And I was like, oh, I was like a gold chalice. And I just had my eyes closed. And then I was like, all right. So then we got on our beds and we took the medicine. And then I sat there for 30 minutes or maybe even longer because it did seem like a long time, but I was comfortable. So I didn't move. And then finally, after a while, I was like, well, I've been sitting here for like a long time. So I'm going to go ahead and lay down. And like Adam, the medicine did take a little bit longer to activate that night. And, but when it did, oh, I forgot. So before I took the medicine, I knew it was Egyptian. And the word Nefertiti came in my brain. And I was like, oh, was I Nefertiti in a past life? And it said, yes. So I was like, that is so cool. Right. So that was pretty awesome. And that's one of the lives that Adam and I shared together because he was like the king of Egypt. It was really cool. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like we had this past life together as Egyptians. And I just thought it was really awesome. So when I went into my thing, a lot of Egyptian stuff started coming in. And I think that's why I have been guided to go to Egypt too. Like those are the two places, Costa Rica and Egypt. So this might be my next trip, going to Egypt and visiting the pyramids, because there was a lot of healing with that. And then finally, I was kind of like, they just kept showing me like the same thing over and over and over again. I'm like, okay, I get it. I was Egyptian. I was Nefertiti. Okay, show me something else, right? And so then they showed me like water and like a sandy beach, but it was kind of like an overcasted day. It wasn't like a nice sunny day. And I'm like, why are you showing me this? And then I like pulled back a little bit and I was like, okay, this is a little boring. What else do you want to show me kind of thing? And then they showed me like prehistoric, like dinosaur bones. And I'm like, okay, so you're taking me back to prehistoric times? Like I was a dinosaur? And I was like, well, I know. Okay, I was a dinosaur at one point. And then, okay, that's cool. Okay, next. So I was just like, I mean, these lives are just coming. I was like, okay, next, right? I was trying to get to something exciting. And then this big, huge screen popped up. And I'm like, what is that? And because it was really close to my face. And I'm like, okay, this is really close. Like I need it to back up a little bit. And it was showing me like a football field. And I'm like, why are you showing me football? Like, why are you showing me all this stuff like I don't care about? Like, are you showing me all this stuff I don't like tonight? Like, what's going on here? And so then it started like going away. And I got a bigger picture. And I was like, oh, so it was like a monitor. Like they were showing you things. And I still don't know the football reference. I don't know if I was a football player in a past life. I'm not sure. Or a coach. I don't know. Maybe I can explore that a little bit. But what happened the second time is it was not a carnival, but it was a circus. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so, but now that I'm thinking about it, maybe my life is a little bit of a circus, right? I have a lot of balls juggling all the time, but maybe I'm just getting that download right now that's probably what they were trying to tell me. Like you always have so many balls juggling, like you're juggling everything all the time. Anyways, I saw my children going in here. They were all dressed up in costumes. They were doing like different activities and they all looked happy. So I was just observing and I'm like, why are my kids here? They said, well, and I got the message. She said, well, last night was your healing and tonight we heal your children.
Well, do you feel like you were talking to guides or were you going into different dimensions?
I feel like I was talking to the plant. They call her grandmother. Mm-hmm. Oh. Yeah. So I feel like I was talking to her and getting answers. And and then that second night, I feel like it just kind of shut off really early. Like the ceremony wasn't over. And I was just like, what's going on here? And I kept asking questions, but they were just like, well, that's kind of all you get. And I'm like, well, if I keep asking questions, are you going to answer me back? Or I don't understand what's going on right now. Cause last time it had lasted like forever. And this time, it kind of cut like halfway, I feel like. And it was just kind of like, we just had the music. And I was like, and I kept asking questions. And I would get some answers. So I did get some clarity, but I felt so thankful that they were healing my children. And I thought, well, hey, how does it get better than that? Right. And so then when the ceremony was over, that's kind of when the night started because, oh my gosh, it was a really challenging evening. The rest of the night, I don't think any of us got any sleep. I think we were up the entire time and we were all pretty sick. You're supposed to throw up and purge. Yeah, you're supposed to throw up and purge each time. So I did that the first night, but the second ceremony, none of us threw up. And so we just felt kind of icky. And so I went into the bathroom because I felt like I needed to throw up and I just couldn't throw up. And I debated, sticking my finger down my throat just to get it out. But I was like, I hate throwing up. So I was like, I can't do it. I just can't. There's no way. So I was like, okay, Amanda, pull yourself together. So like I was washing my hands and I had sweat dripping. I don't sweat at all, hardly ever. And especially on my face, but I had like sweat beads, like on the top of my lip, under my eyes, like on my forehead. I'm looking in the mirror and I'm just like, oh my gosh. I'm like, and I remember thinking like, oh my God, you're sweating, like your face is sweating. And so then I was like, okay, I got to get back and lay down. So I just remember walking towards the door and I felt my body get so heavy and I'm like, I'm going to pass out. Oh, so wow. I literally laid on there were cement steps and I laid on the cement steps and I'm like, oh my God, like what if I pass out here? No one's even going to come look for me. It's dark. Everybody's like doing their own thing. I was literally looking up to the sky and I could see the little clouds, some little white clouds. But then it was started to sprinkle and I'm just laying there with my eyes closed. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, I'm getting wet and I need to get back to the bed. And I remember just like I was like, I just have to get there. It's not that far. I just have to get there. So I get into the room and I just plop on the bed. Like I have my shoes on, I have my clothes on, I have everything. And I'm halfway off the bed. Adam's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm like, I'm not okay. I'm like, I could barely talk. I was like, I just have to lay here. I'm fine. I'll be fine. I just have to lay here. It's like a heavy night drinking. Like you're just feeling like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to get sick.
Well, it sounded pretty good until you got to this part, Amanda.
I know. It was pretty good until this part. That's why I said sometimes you don't know what you're going to get. And so, so that night, I think everybody was up all night because our body was just like, you're not going to sleep. We were processing so much stuff. And it was just like, oh my gosh. Yeah, it was a lot. And I swear, I mean, I don't know if we got an hour of sleep that night. It was just, yeah.
Pretty intense. Now, did you eat 3 meals a day? Did they give you food?
Yeah. Oh, they gave us wonderful food. It was so delicious. I liked all of the food, you know.
Oh, that's good.
It was a vegetarian meals. It was really good. His mom makes all the food there and it was just delicious. Everything was very good. I wasn't unhappy with anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really good. We had a rainstorm there. One day it was like thunder and lightning and it was just so relaxing. And I took videos and we were just sitting on the porch with everybody, just talking. It was just really cool. It's almost like a camping trip, you know, being out there.
Yeah. Well, it sounds great. I mean, you guys have really described it in detail to the point where I think whoever listens to this will either go, gee, I want to do that, or no, thank you.
I think it's a great experience for everybody to do because you know it's not going to last forever. But that one night, we were all beat the next day. Like we're just like, we don't want to go anywhere. We just want to sit. Because we were going to go on a hike. And after breakfast, we're like, yeah, let's go on a hike. And then we were thinking like, what are we thinking? No, we didn't even sleep last night. Like we need to sleep. So that day we literally just kind of lounged around all day and just kind of try to take it easy.
Well, we've been talking for quite a while, so I think I'm going to say thank you, both of you, for your detailed. It's fascinating, absolutely fascinating, because I've never really talked to anyone in so much detail about having an ayahuasca experience, and it really gets you thinking. It's too bad it's not legal in the United States. We could just kind of try it. I don't want to go sleep in Costa Rica with
mosquitoes.
Yeah,
because I came home with 28 mosquito bites on my body.
Oh wow! Okay,
28. They loved me.
And guess how many I had? I had 0.
I was gonna say, be quiet.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I got them all, Adam. I took them all for you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Here's one thing.
Great. Yeah.
Here's one thing I will say about this is that ayahuasca is not for everyone. It is a definite spiritual process. It is not something that's easy to do. So don't expect like an easy journey. Don't expect a 5-star retreat type of journey where, you're going to be, refreshed and relaxed when you come back. It's very energetic. There's lots of energy that is spent. But it will probably be, if you decide to do the journey, probably the best energy that you'll ever use. And it'll be the most rewarding. And if you're ready for the journey, or you think you need this as to step up your consciousness into next level consciousness, then I would really say that then I would go and experience something like this.
I think if you're guided and you're questioning and you're looking for it, then, it may be the next step.
Yeah, because it is not for everyone. And definitely if you're working on yourself and you're taking that, then I would say experience it and feel it and go through it. Otherwise, just wait. It's not the right time for you to do it. Yeah. But I'll say this, the experience overall for me was extremely positive, even though it was I was very tired when I got home. That's it.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing your stories. It was really, really fascinating. And anyone who's watching this, be sure to press the like button if you happen to be watching and subscribe. And we'll see you all next week.